Welcome, APLGO Nation. Ruth Main here tonight. It is April 10th. It was a beautiful day here today. I know a lot of you had some gorgeous weather, but I will tell you, we are in for such a treat tonight. Many of you know this is one of my favorite calls to host ever. I love Mary Esther Gilbert. She is absolutely incredible and a plethora of knowledge. She knows our products, and more importantly, she knows the ingredients inside and out. So we're going to get started. I know she's going to do some screen sharing. Okay. I just like having visuals because many people are visual learners. And sometimes having a visual just really lets things sink into your brain. So Mary Esther is, as you know, one of my favorite people. She has written several books, two specifically about the APLGO products, and more importantly, the ingredients that are in those products. And that is what I was excited about. In fact, I was going through one of those books today that we're going to talk about, just refreshing my mind on some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. Mary Esther has 4 degrees. She is a nutritional physiologist. She's a sports nutritionist. She has worked with many people, not only in sports, but not in sports, like myself and thousands of other people. I know she teaches, she educates people, and one of the things that she is most passionate about is helping humanity get healthy without using drugs. Mary Esther, did I get that right?
Yeah, just minus 1 degree. It would have been nice to have an extra one, but I have 3.
Okay, 6, 3, 4, the point is, and honestly, folks, sometimes you don't need a degree to have a piece of paper. You don't need that to be educated in something. And I think Mary Esther, just from my talks with her, has gone above and beyond what any degree could give her. And that, I think, is what is most important. So tonight, we are going to talk about NRM, NRM. Now, this is a product that a lot of people think is specifically for blood sugar, but you're going to learn tonight that although it is for blood sugar, it does a lot more in the human body. Mary Esther, tonight I want to start off, before we just really delve into NRM, can you talk about the quality of the ingredients, not only in NRM, but in all of APL's products?
Yeah, so gosh, where do I start, right? I mean, what we have to realize is that this company has figured out, well, they've been provided the technology of scientists that have figured out how nutrients work at the microcell level. So there's a lot going on inside our bodies that we must really study and understand. That way you can make better choices. You can decipher misinformation or unqualified information. There's so much unqualified information out there, Ruth. So first of all, hi, everybody. Glad you're here. But yeah, I mean, this is the main gist of what I want to come across is to what I want to get across is to just have people realize how intricate the human body is and how volatile and versatile it can be in how it reacts to whatever you put in it and how a person would react to their environment, the pollutants and all these other subliminal, stimulation, noise, traffic noise, and all this noise pollution that gets into our body's nervous system and hormonal system. It really affects the whole health picture. So, we have to balance everything. We have to take in the right nutrients and the right molecular configurations, biocompatibility, making sure that the molecules we take in are just 100% compatible with the human body. Try not to take in anything that is foreign to it, which means synthetic chemicals and, all these other factors.
And that's hard to do these days. Now, would you say that the quality of our ingredients plays an important role in why our lozenges work overall so well, especially since a lot of people tend to discount them because they taste so good?
Yeah. So people are we've been programmed for the last few generations to believe that we pop a pill and we'll get instant results. And that's what people have come to expect. But in studying the human body, you realize that cell turnover rate, how the body reacts biochemically to everything you put in it, takes time. And it gives the body a chance to evaluate and decide what to do with what you put in it. And sometimes it'll go into a panic and go into an emergency mode and try to, detoxify itself and get rid of something as fast as possible. Sometimes, unfortunately, with the technology out there, with the toxins that are so prevalent in our world, the body has no choice but to store them, like in the fatty tissues and the body fluids, and it will diminish the functioning of all the cells, like the nervous system and the brain and, all the other organ systems, the hormonal system, heavens, I've seen so many problems with that. But yeah, so even though they taste like candy and they're little tiny drops, we have to realize how small the infinite world is, smaller than we are. It's infinitely larger and infinitely smaller. And I can't emphasize that enough. People tend to forget, how do these little drops work? They work because there's a whole universe that's going on at the cellular subquantum energy level and beyond, goes out to infinity. So it's a holographic universe, really. What happens at the smallest existence happens at the largest level of existence as well. So we have to go with that flow. We have to be in that flow of nature, the universal laws of the universal forces that exist in the whole entire universe. We are a part of it, and we have to stop thinking in terms of duality. We have to be a part of it as well. So putting things in our bodies that are completely compatible, like the APL drops, and their technology and the way they process the materials, it all comes together so that our bodies make optimal use out of these nutrient factors.
Absolutely. And given that, and the fact that these are simply plant DNA and we don't have a bunch of crushed up, ground up, liquefied plant matter in them, does that help with the absorption and why some people see such incredibly fast results? I mean, sometimes in just a few minutes.
Yeah, that's exactly why. So I think now is the moment I want to share these. All right. So this is a photograph of the inside of your mouth. Okay. And this is the surface, the mucosal membranes inside the mucosal tissues in the mouth. And so this is enlarged, many, many thousands of times. So you can imagine, but, really you can go even smaller and smaller and smaller and see a whole nother universe just in a small section of our mouth. Can you imagine what the whole body looks like at that level? But, imagine how you're dissolving the drops and they are being dissolved at this surface level. And the glucose is being separated from the fructose molecule, from the sucrose, from the white sugar. And it is being absorbed at these membrane sites. And here's an enlarged picture of it. And this is the skin, the outer layer of the skin that, of course, inside the mouth as well as outside of our bodies, the skin cells are always sloughing off and growing new cells to replace the old ones. So there's different layers of cells, and you can see the little tiny dots all along here inside each cell. That's the DNA. And the cell membrane sites are even smaller. They're kind of hard to see, but I'm just running the mouse over them. If you can see this little white fine line sitting on top of this pink layer of cells here. But so that will get absorbed through these cells. The cell membranes of these cells allow these nutrient factors through because we have identifiers at the cell membrane sites that monitor what comes through. Won't allow a lot of things that doesn't belong in the body right away. It's the detection sites that will allow something or not allow something through. But everything about the DNA drops is allowed right through all of this network of capillaries. You can't see them; they're so tiny, and they cover all the way through various layers of cells inside the skin, inside the mouth, and they have access to these capillaries, these tiny blood vessels. And from there, they get circulated throughout the entire body. And through the nervous system communications and the hormonal communications, the body has a hierarchy. And so it will determine what needs fixing first.
Absolutely. Now, if I heard you right, you are saying that because our digestive system starts right in our mouth with the saliva, we all know that, and ends at our posterior end. But because these are absorbed right in the mouth and they bypass a lot of the digestive in the gut, is that one of the reasons that contributes to why people see results so quickly?
Yeah, you can see it goes right into the bloodstream and gets distributed where it's needed most. And that can be in seconds. So it'll arrive at all these different cell receptor sites of every different type of cell in the body. It could be an organ system. It could be the brain or the nervous system. It could be the skin. It could be the eyes. It could be, nerve cells. It could be anything in the body that has a priority over other things like connective tissues. Those tissues sit there and they protect, and they absorb impact, but they're not critical for life-saving, for keeping you alive. So that's why a lot of people who are malnourished, their connective tissues start getting used up because they're valuable protein that the body can use to make immune cells. And as you can see, all these tissues are made out of various types of proteins.
So having said that, it leads me to another question. A lot of people may or may not see results quickly or not quickly. And in my experience, it's the people that have a lot of issues going on. And I kind of relate it to if there's a lot of fires in a building or in our body and we can't see all of those, you hit the nail on the head. The body has a hierarchy. So if somebody is taking one of our lozenges, NRM, and expecting to see a very quick result on, say, blood sugar, but there's not that instant 15, 20-minute noticeability, is that because it's in there going to where the body needs it more critically first and addressing that before it addresses blood sugar?
Blood sugar is actually one of the high priorities systems in the body. You can get a lot of blood sugar in the bloodstream, and the pancreas goes to work immediately to produce the hormone called insulin to go into the blood and attach those molecules to the glucose molecules and just take them out of the blood, stored in the form of body fat or stored as glycogen in the muscles or in the liver. So the body stores the energy, potential energy, anywhere it can, just to get that blood sugar out of the body. And so if a person is not nourished enough and their diet is missing a lot of components, which we can go over quickly if you'd like,
yes,
then their ability to take that blood out, the glucose out of the blood will be diminished. And so pretty soon the body has what's called insulin resistance, and it will not respond to the insulin. So you can go into insulin shock if the pancreas doesn't know any better, keeps shooting insulin, and they're trying to do its job. But the recognition mechanisms in the so many different factors, the cells and the hormonal system, the nervous system, they all work together. Immune system, it all comes together to try to communicate what's going on in the body. So if you're malnourished or if you're missing certain nutrients chronically over time, then things like this can break down and not work, especially if a person becomes obese. Then they have the whole set of health issues associated with that, kind of thing. So let me go ahead and do a quick share again. I want to show you this picture of the pancreas. Okay, so here's a picture of the pancreas. Let me move this over a little bit. So, here's someone's stomach and liver and, the pancreas, and then it goes into the small intestine and goes on down, correct? So here is the pancreas, and these are the ducts that secrete this into the bloodstream. So we've got the bile duct that helps break down fats, the duodenum, the top part of the intestines and whatnot. So these are all neatly packed into the body. But the pancreas is so important. It not only produces the insulin hormone, but if you don't have enough blood sugar, if you're running low on blood sugar, if you've skipped a meal and haven't eaten for a while, you start feeling lightheaded and a little shaky sometimes. And so that means you're low on blood sugar. So the pancreas will secrete glucagon, the hormone that will actually help release a lot of the stored energy in the body. It'll convert fats to glucose, or it'll convert glycogen, which is muscle starch, and that's a form of complex carbohydrate. It'll break that down to glucose and shoot that back into the bloodstream to bring your blood sugar levels up. And that'll take a while. Sometimes if someone goes without eating and then later on they say, I'm not hungry anymore. I was starving earlier. What's going on? Well, that's what happened. The pancreas is shooting the glucagon in there to try to bring your blood sugar levels up to a normal level. But that can only go on so long. You're going to break down valuable muscle protein or any other valuable protein tissues throughout the whole entire body, including proteins in the blood to try to regulate itself. So that's
Can I take that one step further? And a good, for instance, is I have somebody that has high blood sugar, diabetes, and their blood sugar gets to a certain point and they start getting foggy brain. They can't think because their blood sugar is just so high. Would Norm go in and address maybe the foggy brain first? I mean, can you kind of break that down on how that would work? Or does it just help bring the blood sugar into a normal range and that just automatically gets rid of the foggy brain?
No, what happens is, like I said, it'll take a little while to break down some of the molecules in the body to create the glucose molecule and dump that back in the bloodstream. That takes a while. It'll take a few minutes to an hour, for you to start feeling like you can think again. But that's a very temporary fix. So whenever someone is feeling foggy-headed or dizzy or lightheaded and they can't focus and concentrate, they feel sleepy, all they want to do is lay down and take a nap, then that means your blood sugar levels are low. And the way to fix that is to maintain your protein intake and whole food carbohydrates and the right types of whole food fats. I can go over that in a moment. And so when you balance your biochemistry all the time, you won't experience that. You won't experience foggy brain, especially foods that are high in the vitamins and minerals and the phytonutrient compounds that help regulate and attenuate blood sugar. There's a couple of plants that are in the drops that will actually do that, as that's what I found in the research that I did. There's probably a lot more and a lot more phytochemical compounds that help attenuate that. So, throughout the book that I've written, people can find, this plant compound will help attenuate blood sugar. So that's all. I did a search on that in my own book today, and I found so many instances where all these different phytochemicals in these plants will help bring the blood sugar back to normal. But that's just part of the story. Like I said, you've got to maintain your normal blood sugar levels by the right balance of nutrients in the diet as well.
And is it fair to say that Norm is actually going to help regulate the spikes in blood sugar up and down and just kind of keep it a smoother roller coaster ride instead of the Batman roller coaster ride?
Well, as far as the grams of sugar, the beet sugar, the sucrose that's in the drops, that's a temporary spike in energy. It'll provide the glucose that you need, for a little while. But our bodies use that glucose so fast. The brain uses it right away. All of our trillions of cells are using it for all the energy that they need to do their work. So our bodies need that glucose all the time. And the only way to safely have the right amount of glucose in the bloodstream is through a proper diet. And so also in the phytochemicals that are in the lozenges are also things like proanthocyanidins. These are known as hypoglycemic agents, because they do a lot of work as far as bringing the blood sugar back to normal. So these will interact with all of the biochemistry in the body to just bring it back to homeostasis. That's what's so wonderful about the plant kingdom and their phytochemical compounds. So also these proanthocyanidins help limit the process of the formation of body fat. So if you are eating excessive calories and also if you're exercising, that even helps the process of not storing body fat so readily as well. And just use it wherever the body needs it, because when you're physically active, you're going to need nutrients more often and more of them. So not necessarily calories, of course, empty calories, but nutritionally dense phytochemicals or plant foods and other types of foods. So, it's all about balancing your biochemistry so that your body does what it needs to stay healthy and balanced and not feel tired and eliminate that fatigue and cravings, for sugar kind of thing.
Right. Now let's take that a step further and talk about some of the ingredients in Norm. One of my favorites is the balsam pear root. And it's pretty impressive when you go to start looking and reading about it. And one of the things that you talk about, especially with detoxing, is the importance of binders. And can you kind of address how incredible balsam pear root is and the fact that it does have some binders?
Oh, yeah, that's really fun. Let's get into it.
Oh, amen.
So these phytochemicals in the plants that are in the Norm, they have these unique, well, any plant, a lot of plants do. I shouldn't just say what are in the norm, but we happen to be talking about that. But they have unique binding affinities for identified foreign synthetic compounds, okay? And so sometimes you have, like scientists, they have computerized programs that can identify all these different, what they call molecular docking, to predict how molecules interact at the cell membrane sites. And so that's what our bodies do. You know, they have this molecular docking of the cell membrane sites, a recognition molecules that sit there and just kind of police what goes in and outside of our cells, which is a great thing. You know, we want to make sure that what goes in our cells is going to help us stay healthy rather than destroy everything inside the cell and render it, you know, just completely demolished and non-functional. So when it happens at the macro scale, that's the disease process. So we have to prevent that. You know, then by the binding qualities of phytochemicals, I mean, this is at the root of, like, say, the pharmaceutical industry. They love what these phytonutrient compounds do at the cell receptor sites, and they've been able to design prescription drugs that will affect that, you know, but nutrients do the same thing, and they'll go in there and they'll actually do the repair work, you know, rather than hide symptoms. Not to knock the medical industry, we're not here to, you know, knock them, but you know, there's a lot of the nutrient compounds that are so amazing, and there's thousands, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands of studies, peer-reviewed studies, the ultimate in credibility, right, in the academic world, very scholarly, you know, very rigid scientific standards that scientists have to follow in order to prove if something is right, you know, or is provable or conclusively true, right? So, so the body can accumulate, say, let's say it'll accumulate toxins in the environment like lead, you know, and so the phytochemicals actually recognize, along with the body's monitoring systems, will recognize these molecules as foreign, not of self. I love to quote that. When I read it, that is what the scientists always call it. You know, it's not of self, and our bodies can recognize what should belong in our bodies and what doesn't. So that's what I love about the phytochemical compounds in plants, that they will help the body recognize and attach themselves to them and donate electrons, neutralize those free radicals, and render those free radicals non-functional. And that way the immune system can come in and just bite the heck out of it and disassemble it into the basic components of molecules that are on the periodic table of the elements, right? And once things get down to that form, then the body can easily eliminate them. So this is a whole process, you know, a whole battle going on in there with our immune system. So we have to be well nourished in order to maintain that immune system.
How important is the balsam pear root in the norm? I mean, it only has 6 ingredients. It's not like MLS or beauty. So those 6 ingredients must be pretty impressive to see the results that people are seeing on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, let's take the balsam pear fruit, Mamordica charantia. I love these scientific Latin terms that are universal throughout the world. So any scientist in the world, when they look at the Latin term of any plant in the world, everybody knows what they're talking about. You know, there's no variation, there's no question as to what the plant does. So basically I mean, I'm going to really summarize this grossly, you know. It protects the body from early aging, you know, because of its antioxidants, how it donates the free radical, the negatively charged ions and neutralizes the free radicals. So it protects the cells against this damage, and, you know, because of all this foreign invasiveness and the toxins that destroy, right? And also it has all these different plant compounds called alkaloids and tannins and glycosides, and these natural plant sterols. And these plant sterols are so wonderful. They're the precursors to thousands, and I'm talking about at least 10,000 that are known by science so far, of regulating and monitoring hormones that the body has to manufacture constantly. And these are proteins. So in order to build all these different hormones, you have to be well nourished. I'm going to keep driving that home. You've got to have, you know, all the food groups present. That's why I created my nutritional synergy system. That book is going to be coming out very soon, by the way. Everybody needs to know about that. Yeah. I teach that to my clients, as you know, having been a client of mine. And but I really go into a lot more detail in the whole entire book on that system. So anyhow, I talk about how the hormones are very essential for making sure that everything happens correctly in the body. They're the police. They with the nervous system, which is the communication system, work together, and the immune system is right there, ready to go when the nervous system and the hormones just direct that immune system and say, okay, go over there immediately, take care of that right now, before it gets out of hand. And also the balsam pear fruit has the important fatty acids like linoleic and alpha linolenic acid, and those help ensure the correct cholesterol levels. Cholesterol is not a bad thing. That's the structure of every single one of our cells, inside and out. We need cholesterol. That's why animal products are so important. Normal growth, healthy cell membranes, all of that is done by the assistance of all these nutrient compounds, including cholesterol. And so it helps maintain the hormonal equilibrium, and that means better mental balance and behavior patterns, less overreactiveness to stress, reacting to stress with more calm and logic, and being able to make better decisions in life, things like that. And of course, the immune system also. Fat metabolism, it lowers blood cholesterol. It cleanses the blood vessels of any kind of cellular debris or any plaques that might be forming in there from the trans fats, which is like hydrogenated fats, margarine, shortening, all those plastics that don't belong in the body at all. All they do is they stick to the arteries and form plaques and obstructions. That's extremely dangerous. Not to mention the bacteria and the viruses. It's also been known to assist with attenuating hypertension, restoring tissues, really sensitive tissues like hemorrhoids, stomach ulcers inside the mucosal linings of the stomach. Also, of course, diabetes, which is why this particular botanical was chosen for this formulation. Really powerful antioxidant. I can just go on and on. But yeah, it just improves the immune system's resistance to microbial infections and viral invasions, and it stimulates and activates the body's natural killer cells. So yeah, a lot of clinical studies done on this particular plant.
I am continually amazed at the variety of what the ingredients that are peer reviewed can do in our bodies at a cellular level. And when I was preparing for this and talking to you a little bit, balsam pear root just stuck out to me because it just is one of those that has such a wide variety. I mean, who would have known unless we talked about it here, or you get Mary Esther's book, which you'll have be told how to do that tonight. Who would have known that balsam pear actually can address cholesterol? I mean, that's not something I would have thought about at all. Now, let's talk about what are some of your other favorite ingredients or ones that stick out to you that are in NORM as well?
Well, let me call up the whole entire book thing because I want to make sure I pick out the best one in our limited time here.
I know the apple has the pectin, which is really good for people, and people don't understand that pectin is very good for them. I guess that goes back to the old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Okay,
so these are the, you're talking about molasses, beet sugar, citric acid, all those wonderful natural compounds. And then the Siberian ginseng. In fact, I'll be doing a video and doing a deep dive on that. It's a different plant than the Panax ginseng, which I don't know if any of you guys have seen that one that I just produced yesterday. I posted it on Facebook. But yeah, the Siberian ginseng is really great for endurance as well and for the immune system and regulating blood sugar. And like the other ginseng, it also helps with endurance, kind of thing. And so the gumar also, it's really great for regulating blood sugar, as well as the balsam pear, the fenugreek seed as well. Anytime you have a seed, you have the entire DNA of the plant. So you have the potential for any number of, biochemistry that will benefit your whole entire system kind of thing. So it's a pick and choose as you like kind of scenario. So fenugreek is also important. And the apple, extremely good for regulating blood sugar, surprisingly. People should not be afraid of fruit because they contain a lot of the phytochemicals that will counterbalance any of the fructose. Some people call it fructose. I know that's probably the correct pronunciation, but I had a college professor back in 1979 who constantly called it fructose, and it just stuck, okay? So in case you want to correct me,
nah,
I'm calling it fructose because she was an awesome professor. All right. So, and yeah, and the lychee, I mean, gosh, yeah, I can call up the document and go into more detail if you'd like. But yeah, these are basically blood sugar regulating compounds. It's the phytonutrients that you need to pay attention to. And that's in the book. I've done all that scientific homework for you.
Well, and
But
some people ask about exactly what we're talking about here. It's counterintuitive to take something. We have been taught in society, don't eat any kind of sugar. Everything has to be low fat, no fat, zero this, zero that. And I think a lot of people are starting to understand that they're starving their brain of medium chain triglycerides, but it also are different kinds of sugar. Can you kind of go into, I know NRM has approximately 1 gram of sugar based off of beet sugar and organic molasses. How do those work synergistically with the other ingredients to actually regulate blood sugar? Does that have to do with just the phytonutrients that go to work inside at the cellular level?
yes, absolutely. These phytochemicals are so vastly complex that the body can pick and choose the molecules it needs to either call up right away and have these compounds go to work to just tone down the blood sugar, help the pancreas function better at the cell level. Everything goes into the cell function. It always rests on how your cells are functioning. So these compounds are very tiny. They're nano, particles practically. And so they are accepted readily through the cell membrane and get to work inside the cell so that, like, for instance, the pancreas, the cells that are in the pancreas can function the way the DNA is in our cells are supposed to function. So they also can go in and correct any kind of confused sequencing of our gene codes too. Sometimes when cells get damaged at the DNA level, they can affect the order of our genes. And so that can confuse the program, it can spit out all kinds of problems. And of course, we are notified by a lot of problems by various symptoms, pain and inflammation, dizziness, lightheadedness, like we were talking about earlier. So yeah, these compounds are vast molecules at the nano level. I mean, it's all relative, right? They're large molecules, but they fit through the cell membranes, including the blood-brain barrier.
Correct.
So that's why,
and I think that's very important that we cross the blood-brain barrier. And I know you've talked about that in previous calls, that it's so important to feed your brain correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what I hear you saying is that people should not be afraid of that 1 or 1.5 grams of sugar that comes from sugar beets or molasses because of the phytonutrients that are in the plant DNA. Our body is going to pick and choose and use that glucose, but that also aids and is one of the reasons that we do cross the blood-brain barrier, correct?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's definitely a design to the system that will allow certain things that come in and not come in. So it all depends on whether our cells are smart enough, nourished enough, that's synonymous, to recognize what belongs in the body and what doesn't. Does that answer the question, or am I going off on a different direction here?
No, it does. But
Okay.
I want to add to that, or I'd like for you to expound on that a little bit. If someone is a bit nervous, let's just say they read the box and they say, well, it has blood sugar, it has beet sugar, and it has molasses. And, my doctors have told me, 0 sugar because I'm diabetic, or, I can't get my blood sugar to stay normal. What would you say to somebody that has that fear of taking one of these a day or 2 of them a day, whatever it happens to be, to help their body help itself? How would you address that?
Yeah. Okay. So say you're a diabetic and you've got to monitor your blood sugar levels throughout the day to make sure that the carbohydrates you're taking in is not spiking your blood sugar levels. And that can be someone who's non-diabetic too. Everyone has to watch that blood sugar. Otherwise, they might, their pancreas won't work anymore after a while, if they're malnourished. But so, keeping track of the grams of carbohydrates to be taken in at a meal daily is a good idea, just to have a general idea, not to become someone who's always looking up your calorie grams or your carbohydrate or protein grams, just get to know the foods that you normally eat, the healthy foods, and just have a general idea of how many grams of each kind of nutrient you're taking in. That way you can monitor yourself casually. It doesn't have to be just, completely very, very accurate. And if you're exercising, that's becomes even more important to continually fuel, the temporary breakdown of your tissues or only to be built back up again nutritionally, nutritional replenishment and recuperation time to make the body come back stronger, kind of thing. And so just keeping on an even keel like that, it's really important. So you've got to eat the animal-derived proteins, the leaner meats and poultry, and you've got to have the proper proportions of the whole food fats, like the raw nuts and seeds, and small amounts of plant oils that are high in the omega-3 fatty acids, real butter, and some meat drippings, as long as you keep those fats to a minimum, because they are twice as many calories. They're the gaining weight factor that's always in there, but they're extremely important. You don't need too many of them, but the body makes extreme use out of every single one. Precursors to hormones, blood sugar regulating and regulating the body's temperature, reducing inflammation. All these different food groups play a different role, to contribute your whole health picture and your energy levels. Just the plant kingdom, all the herbs and the spices, they help regulate blood sugar. Leafy greens as well, because of their phytochemical compounds and their vitamins and minerals. Vitamins and minerals also play a role in regulating blood sugar, and the vegetables and all of their array of different phytochemical compounds, the fruits and the berries. Just not be afraid of the little measly 1.7 grams of sucrose that's in the drops. Your body immediately breaks it down to fructose, which is immediately used for every single cell in the body, and including the brain. And the other part of the sucrose molecule becomes fructose. That's digested easily, broken down further, and reassimilated as well. It happens very quickly. So the 1.7 grams of sugar in the drops is not to be worried about. I mean, when you take a carbohydrate food, I have a chart here actually that I'd like to show you.
Yep.
That shows the different, carbohydrates in different foods. And we're talking about, 60 or more milligrams in just one piece of bread or something compared to the 1.7 grams. And in those drops are all these phytonutrients that help attenuate and regulate the blood sugar, so you need not be afraid of this itty bitty amount of sugar. I mean, even if you take like 5 drops at a time, that's still less than a lot of the foods that you're going to eat in a day, including those who are diabetic. I'm going to share the screen really quickly so you can see this. So here is the amount of grams grams for weight loss or just weight maintenance. Should say T in there. That's not weight maintenance. Weight maintenance, 30 to 45 grams per meal for women if you're on a weight loss program, or 45 to 60 grams per meal for just regular maintenance, just to provide your body's cells all the energy needs that they have, that they need. And also for men, up to 75 grams per meal. That's a lot of grams, right?
Wow, did you just hit the nail on the head for me, and I'm sure for a lot of other people. When you compare that 1 gram or 1.7 grams to 35 for females, I'll just say females because I'm a female, per meal, that really puts it into perspective on how minute it is. And then coupled with, like you said, the phytonutrients that actually go to work in our body and put them to work the way they're supposed to be used in the body.
Yes, exactly. And if people want to know what happens when they take in those drops and it gets broken down to the various sugars, this is just a depiction of the outside of the cell and the area out here, and all the receptor sites that are sitting on the cell membrane and what they allow in and what they don't. Here's the insulin, being shot out into the blood, either to take it up and put it back in the bloodstream, or if it's glucagon, it'll be shooting out, secreting into the bloodstream to shoot more sugar in there. Here's the endoplasmic reticulum, which is it's the energy producing sites, and all these other little organelles that are floating around that, are much more, are not even mentioned in a basic cell depiction, because they're just so minute, and there's so many millions of them in there doing their jobs. Protein manufacturing sites, assisting the immune system. I mean, everything that goes on in there, you'd be amazed. And if you were to sit there at this cell membrane site, let's say you shrunk yourself down and we're observing all these biochemistry going on in the body, it'd be like the 4th of July. You'd have to take cover because all these explosions are taking place at the minute level all the time. So I put in this document, I've been actually producing documents lately on our calls, and I've been posting them on my website. So anyone can go in there and take a look at this document and explore all these different wonderful links. So just for your own future use, right?
And so, we'll put that up at the end of the call, most definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is so fascinating. Now, I know one of the questions that comes at me a lot is, do I need to take Norm in the morning? Can I take it at night? When should I take it? Is there any specific time that I need to take it? What's your thoughts on that for people out there wondering?
Okay, again, it depends on how well you're nourished and how much rest you're getting. If you're under a lot of stress, all these factors come together to affect how your body utilizes nutrients. Okay, so staying well nourished, staying well hydrated, taking your drops, and just keeping your blood sugar intact so that you don't have these problems, And so you can take any of these drops any time of day if you're in good health. But if you are taking in way too much sugar and you happen to be diabetic, God forbid, you're going to have problems. And so, taking a handful of drops on top of all that sugar that's already in there from the diet, then there might be a problem there. These drops do wonders, but those phytochemicals will be up against a lot of things that will interfere with proper functioning, So you have to take care of your body and make sure that you watch your carbohydrate intake and try not to take in refined sugars, refined flours, white rice. That is going to destroy your pancreas' ability to uptake sugar out of the bloodstream, and it's going to be, all that sugar is going to be converted to body fat, and you'll have kidney problems and your immune system problems, inflammatory reactions, and other more serious diseases that are associated with this metabolic syndrome known as obesity, kind of thing. So you can take them any time of day if you're healthy, and if you're taking in a lot of carbohydrates, try not to take them while you're taking a lot of carbohydrates, or eat a lot of high nutrient-dense foods that are high in minerals that help attenuate blood sugar, vitamins, all these different things, so that you can safely and, without worry, you can take 5 drops at a time if you want to, kind of thing. But yeah, if you have blood sugar issues, then do be careful.
I know some of us do pop 5 or 6 different ones in our mouth at the same time. We love that burst of flavor, and we're going to be taking them anyway. Now, I have a question that has been asked of me several times even this week. Someone that's not diabetic, but say they know they're going to a birthday party, or it was Easter and there was some candy involved, or cheesecake, or one of Ruth's famous carrot cakes. Would it help to take a Norm before or after having that kind of a meal? I know you touched on that a little bit, and I know people that are diabetic have to be a little bit more careful with that. But for non-diabetics, is that going to help kind of keep an even keel on their blood sugar?
Yeah, it can, especially if you're taking in animal-derived proteins. There's nothing better to regulate your blood sugar than to take in a protein. So there are, as our bodies break down those into amino acids, then the body has this whole range of choices to make all these different hormones that regulate blood sugar and help the pancreas and all these other cascade effects, in the body. So yeah, if I'm going to a party and I know there's going to be cake, especially carrot cake, that's my favorite. But, I make a healthy version of that. All my baked goods are they're a meal out of a muffin kind of thing. But yeah, you can, if you're not doing it all the time at home, if you're not taking in sweets at home all the time, then, by all means, take a drop before you go to the party. It'll help, make you feel more nourished, and possibly eat less if you think you're going to overeat there. Of course, when you have potlucks or parties like that, there's always this delicious array of food, and no matter how small of the portions that you take in and you want to try everything, you still end up with a pretty big, plateful. But yeah, exercise will help, solve that overeating problem because your metabolism will be faster and you'll be able to burn calories at rest even when you're exercising all the time. So yeah, it's just a balance, and just monitoring. Am I going to have a lot of carbs today? What am I going to do to counter that? Am I going to work it off at the gym later? Go for a walk in the evening? Or what am I going to do to balance that to maintain my health and my body weight properly?
Okay, so I've got my tongue in my cheek a little bit, but I have to ask this because you just said something that was like, oh, wow. If somebody's having like a chocolate craving, I know there's people on here, and I've said to Sergey, please, can we get a drop that tastes like chocolate? But did I hear you say, if you eat a protein, it's going to help curb a chocolate craving? Because that hasn't worked for me. Not at all.
Well, there's something about chocolate. There's a lot of compounds in chocolate that are like endorphins. They make you feel good. And some people claim it to be an aphrodisiac. There's a lot of great things in chocolate. There's unhealthy chocolate foods, products, and very healthy chocolate-based food products. Organic dark chocolate, for instance, is extremely good for you. Cacao powder is what chocolate is made out of. So I buy cacao powder by the pound, and I put that in cereals and smoothies. And,
Yep.
I have a craving for my chocolate. I love my chocolate. I'll buy the organic chocolate-covered cranberries. I just have to pop a couple of things after dinner as a dessert. That's my dessert. I don't ever overeat a lot of the desserts, knowing what they do. And so, yeah, I mean, just being educated and knowing what your body's doing and how to fix it, how to counterbalance what you're doing.
I knew you were my best friend for a reason. We both love chocolate.
We have so much in common.
I know. So what I'm hearing is our drops are incredible. And I think we all know that. But more importantly, you keep pinging on the fact, and I know this has been said by many nutritionists and people in sports and coaches and mentors, you cannot exercise your way out of a bad diet, just like you cannot depend on our drops or anything out there if you have a really bad diet. So am I correct in saying that as great as our lozenges are and as many results as people, myself and many others are seeing, a good diet and small changes using our drops to satiate is just as important for long-term health?
We have to have the whole foods because of their fiber, because of their water content. You have to exercise the digestive tract. And not only that, keep secreting those digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid to help break down foods, to properly break those foods down to the level that the drops are. We need the energy value and the nutrient value in foods just as much as we need the plant cell components in the plants in the drops. So we need the DNA, and we can get the DNA from the foods, but it takes a lot longer to get there. The digestive process takes a lot longer to get them to that point. But the immediate absorbability of the drops is what's great. So yeah, we have to just keep making those good choices, because if we don't, then there's going to be some kind of deficiency somewhere along the line that will be felt in the way of diminishing health issues, diminishing quality of health. And so yeah, you have to just keep going at it and just making sure you're getting a whole huge variety of these different kinds of foods to make sure that your body's going to function properly and optimally for a very, very long time. It'll continually go on forever and ever. People do live to be 120, and a few people on earth are living to 140, and I sure would like to find out what it's like to be healthy and of solid mind and body. So when you exercise, your body is working extra hard to utilize all the energy and nutrient reserves in your body. And so you have to replenish that with all the right nutrients, and the drops certainly help. A lot of people say my energy levels are up. I can't believe it.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
At the DNA level, the cells provide the nutrient factors that help produce energy in the cell. So they're awesome for working out. But
and
we
these
also
are
need
much more than just a lozenge for this or a lozenge for that. They are actually nourishing our cells at the most basic level, correct?
Well, absolutely. And it's such a wide array choices too that they provide because of all these different plant compounds and the negatively charged ions, of course, when it's infused with extra electrons to neutralize free radicals in the body. When you exercise, you're going to wear yourself down. You're going to feel like wiped out after a workout if you've had a good workout. Then it's time to rest and recuperate, rehydrate, and re-nourish your cells. And your body's very reactive that way. It will adapt to whatever you put it through. So if you challenge it physically and you replenish nutritionally and you hydrate properly, then your body's going to get stronger and more fit, and your cells are going to behave like a younger person's cells. That's what makes exercise so great and so important. A person can have the perfect diet, but if they don't exercise to stimulate a better circulation and increase detoxification channels, just get all that stuff out of the body and just elevate everything that happens in the body a lot faster so that you have more energy. People can't believe, oh, I exercise and I feel terrible. Okay, just rest, recuperate, replenish your nutrients, and then you'll feel a lot better. And the next time you exercise, you'll be stronger, and it'll be a positive reinforcing thing, rather than a negatively reinforcing. There's so many, there's such a high dropout rate at the gyms, or people who don't go to the gym and still try to exercise. They end up just not doing it. They start dreading it. So being highly nourished means that you're going to have the mental energy and the desire to work out as much as the physical energy.
Amen to that. Well, I'll tell you, as we close out here, I just want to ask just a few more things, and then we're going to get to your book. I know you've talked about plant DNA and human DNA being very close and matching, and this is one of the reasons our drops are readily accepted and get into that cellular level, and you talked about that when we first started. Can you just kind of reinforce that for the people that are wondering maybe why plant DNA and not just a plant, and how that interacts in our body?
Yeah, there's some really interesting work on that. When you map out and flatten the entire DNA code, the double helix, there's all these different gene codes that are resting on the double helix. And scientists have been able to figure out what these codes mean and what they do. And they've also been able to do that genome, map with plants. So science has been able to see and compare the different sequences of gene codes. And lo and behold, our bodies recognize those gene codes in plants and actually can slice out segments of those gene codes and replace the damaged parts in our own DNA. That's what's so amazing about the plant kingdom. We are so compatible and so close to them. Their cells will have the same organelles, the protein manufacturing sites, the mitochondria, and all these other organelles. They are the same ones and do the same functions as our own DNA. So we are like, there's a sister and brotherhood going on with the plant kingdom like you would not believe. Okay, so that's what happens. Our bodies need to take in those plants, and those phytochemicals are the ones that help facilitate all that.
And a lot of that has to do with because our lozenges actually have viable living enzymes in them. We're not giving them something that has been cooked to death and is not going to do us any good. So actually, in some manner, wouldn't our lozenges in some cases nourish the body more than, say, an overcooked spinach or carrots or any kind of vegetable?
Oh, that's a great point, Ruth. Gosh. I have a slideshow that shows the differences between cooked food and raw, energy active, light frequency active foods. And so it's the light energy frequency active foods, the raw foods, the ones that have not been cooked or even subjected to even slight heating. They have this light that emits, and this is the biophotonic, existence within our own cells and within every living cell. So everything is vibrating at different frequencies, but there also is that light element that's present, this energy that radiates from living cells. So it's interesting to see the before and after of a cooked piece of broccoli, versus something that's raw. I mean, it's a brilliant burst of light coming out of this broccoli from this special photographic equipment. And so, and then it shows this dark, diminished, barely visible piece of broccoli. I mean, I've seen different foods that has been compared, before and after. So, we're light energy beings. We do have we are made out of mostly light. When you look at our cells, you go deeper and deeper in the quantum energy universe, where everything is vibrating at different frequencies and different speeds. We're actually closer to that as our reality than we are in the physical plane here in this third dimension. So we can really get into this deep discussion on the physics and the biophysics of what makes our bodies work. But yeah, so we're light energy beings, and to me, that's really exciting. We have to maintain that light by taking in the drops, which still have that light in them, and the raw, fresh foods that are so abundant in the plant kingdom. And it's that raw freshness, that light energy frequency, the enzymes that are still active, catalysts for every biochemical reaction in plants and ourselves. So when we take in foods like that, then our bodies stay alive and they function so much better. We don't have to dip into our own enzyme stores, our own light energy to try to utilize an overcooked food.
One call I'd love to have with you, just as an aside, is gene expression, genome expression, and the what our drops can do for that. I know that's a whole nother thing. But guys, Mary Esther, as you see, she is so, we could talk for hours. And every time I get off one of these calls, people call me and say, oh my God, I could have listened to her for another 2 hours. Me too. Every time she starts talking, I'm like, and that makes my brain think of something else to ask her and something else. And I want to know this and I want to know that. And coming from a science background, that kind of stuff turns me on. But one thing I want you to know is, our products are certified. The ingredients in our products have gone through just a lot of research. As Mary Esther pointed out, they're put together in such a way, a very specific way. And we don't have to prove that. It's not me saying this. It's not Mary Esther saying this. She's just teaching us about how good our drops are. And the proof of that is the over 30 certifications worldwide. And Norm just happens to be one of the products that has peer-reviewed medical white papers done on it by Dr. Ventnor, Raymond Ventnor, a very good friend of mine. And that's actually published and peer-reviewed published. He didn't think it would be published as quickly as it was, along with 7 of our other products. But as Mary Esther teaches us, all of our ingredients have thousands and tens of thousands of peer-reviewed studies on them. And that gets us to her book and all of her books. And if you ever get a chance to meet her, in fact, I'm going to be in Arizona in a couple of weeks, and I'm hoping that we can hook up.
What? Oh,
yes. And I will bring you some honey from our bees from this past summer. So
fantastic.
She has some incredible books. Mary Esther, would you close out the call telling people how they can get potent superfoods for lifelong true health? Guys, it's an incredible book. Mary, it's yours to close out.
Oh, thank you so much. Can I say one more thing, though, before we do that? The PDF file that I'll post on the questions that you posed to me, I answered quite, in detail that we didn't get to touch on as much as I thought we would, but that's why I had been making up these PDFs. So I'll post this PDF on this page that I'll show you just right now, and you'll be able to see it. So let me go to that page first. I better share. Let me go ahead and share.
Let me stop sharing. And
okay,
this is her website.
This is my website. And so on the supplements page at the bottom, I show the APL products. There's a link there. And so I've been posting the 3 documents that we've been doing on the Zoom call. So you can get one from February and one from last month. And so I'll be posting this month's right underneath there. So all you do is just go to the Holistic Choices website and click on supplements, scroll all the way down and click on that link and you'll get to this page. So it's holisticchoices.com/APL, basically. Okay, so that'll be there for you. And then I'll go back to the book page. And by the way, I also list all of the videos that we do on this website too. So if you can't find it anywhere, or they're always here. So yeah, it'll be back where it was back on the supplements page. All right, so here's the page that shows my books. True Health Mastery was the first book I wrote, and then How to Select the Right Supplements. And they're also available in ebook form always. And these 2 books that are coming up, the Nutritional Synergy System that I devised years ago, this is already done, and I want to co-publish it or bundle it up in Amazon with Eating for Physical Power and Stamina. So this is for people with weight loss and who wants to exercise and never be tired and keep making progress in their fitness goals and not ever want to stop exercising. You know, this can turn you into an exercise machine, but you'll love working out, you know, if you follow this program. So anyway, those two are coming up soon. This one's almost done. It's like 99% done. So they're coming around the corner. But my favorite book so far is the Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health. I really poured in my heart and soul, and I couldn't wait to share, you know, all the information that I was learning about these phytochemicals. You know, I knew what the plants did. I worked with those for many years, but when I really started doing a deep dive on the phytochemicals, then I was really super excited. So this is what the body recognizes. This is what the body needs. And of course, you can get it through Amazon. If you click on here to order the printed copy, and also the ebook version on that one. So that's what you can do.
And you can also get them on her website as well, folks.
Yeah,
I have it, love it, use it all the time. It is an incredible, incredible resource. And one of the things that you'll find out about Mary Esther is she breaks everything down so lay people can understand. You don't have to have a degree to understand exactly what she's telling you. Mary Esther, I just can't thank you enough. Her website is absolutely a treasure trove of information. I know I use a lot of it when I'm teaching. So Mary Esther, thank you so much for being here. It is such an honor and such a pleasure for me to host these calls. It's the best thing that I love doing with this company, quite honestly, because it's the education that gets people excited. And I tell everybody all the time, it's the taste of our products that get them initially, and it's the results that they see that keep them coming back. And thanks to you, people are opening their minds, opening their hearts, ordering our product, and getting healthier and wealthier every single day. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Any closing thoughts?
I just wanted to say I'm so happy to do this. This is my personal goal to help humanity become healthy so that they can become more empowered and come into their own sovereignty as human beings on this planet. You know, that's my spiritual kind of perspective. But yeah, I mean, it's such an honor to be of service and to educate people. When we educate people, when you get educated, then you don't become a victim any longer. You can just discern the differences between something that's misinformation or you know, some kind of advertising ploy or something like that. You can tell the difference right away. And you also, by applying it to your body, you'll see the difference. You know, people, you might not notice it at first. You know, things are gradual sometimes, but someone who hasn't seen you in a couple of weeks or a couple of months will say, "What are you doing? You look fantastic," kind of thing. So yeah, it's a wonderful thing to do for your body. It's the only way to do it. There's no other way to become healthy. Absolutely none.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you are a guest here tonight, get back with the person that invited you here. They can connect you with Mary Esther's website, with all of the information that we have with APLGO that includes Mary Esther's teachings. She is just truly a massive benefit to all of us, and we thank her for being here. And we also thank every single one of you for being here. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.